Before heading to the video, if you haven't subscribed the channel, do subscribe it and don't forget to click the bell icon for the latest update notification. If you like the video, do like, comment and share. Stay tuned with learnbay.co. Happy learning!
Let me give a brief classifications of data types supported in R. Okay, so there are majorly two. The whole data types are categorized into two groups. One called R atomic data types. That basically means basic data types. And then we have R data objects, which are quite advanced data structures in which you basically store your data in various formats. So coming to our atomic data types, we have these major types: logical, integer, numeric, character. When we say logical, we have certain keywords like true, false, right? These are logical data types. So something, if you want to relate it back to your Python, you have booleans, right? Whatever you call their booleans, here it's called logical. Likewise, okay, and then we have integers and then numeric. In numeric data types, what you see here basically like decimal, fractions, even integers you'll see. Okay. Although to you, like as per our basic definition of an integer and a fraction number, we know that if there's a decimal attached, we say floating point or right, or else we say integer. But in R, the terminologies are defined from storage point of view. So a numeric number can be an integer also visually, and also a fractional floating point number. Okay, but down the line as a type wise they will be considered numeric type. Okay, you might say okay, 200 is a no basically an integer, but why we have another class integer here? Well, that's because of storage point of view. So we have a type numeric where you can store a floating number also, integer also, but the overall type will be numeric. But what happens down the line, it takes more space. Even if it's a numeric, sorry, even if it's an integer, the storage taken to store the integer as a numeric type is much more compared to the same integer when you store as an integer data type. So whenever you have to define an integer literally as an, yeah, so I was talking about the differences between integer and numeric data type. Okay, so when I'm talking the differences, it's not with mere definition of an integer and the floating point data, but rather how the storage are different, and when you are defining an integer literally as an integer with the suffix l, and if you don't use l, then how it is stored down the line. Okay, so when you are actually defining any integer with this format where you like 1l, 2l, 3l and so on, it will store as an integer where basically there won't be an extra memory allocated, considering it can go as a fraction also tomorrow. It will be always taken as an integer. But when you store or when you assign a number just with a plain integer where like 1, 2, 3, it will store it as a numeric data type, and then that basically means there will be an expectation that this integer may get converted to a float any given time. It's possible. Okay, you if you are so what that so that's the reason we have this two different format. So at any given time, if you have an integer number but you are sure in future nowhere I'm going to store it, or any fraction part will come to it no matter how many computation I do to it, you have to literally define it as an integer with the suffix l to it. Okay, and it will store accordingly. I hope this difference is clear to you. So this difference is not by definition, but the way it's stored down the memory.
Again, does that mean like if we are performing an operation on an integer data type and it results out in float, then we don't need to round it off
Yeah.
to, okay.
Okay, so yeah, so you have to be mindful about that. Now, which data you actually expect not to go as a fraction, irrespective of any computation you do, and if you expect there to be a fraction and you define it as an integer type, just because originally your data looks to be an integer, there will be loss of your information later on after the computation. So that's
Can it have value like 200L or something?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
200. So think of this way. Let's talk in terms of data. What data do you expect always to be integers? Some example from any scenario. For example, when you talk about, let's say I have a data set where I'm storing maybe students information, and one of the information attribute of that data is a roll number. At any point of your time, will you expect a roll number to have a fraction component? Any point of, doesn't matter how what computation you do. Never, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so roll number can be anything, right? 100 to 200, 300, 400, and so on. So yeah, in that case, you can define that particular column as an integer type. All right. So
Okay.
that will make sure you are not invoking unnecessary memory also. You are not preserving any unrequired memory. And at the same time, you are not going to face any data loss in future. So accordingly, if you choose the type, you will have that proper trade-off happening there. All right. So yeah, that way we have numeric. So as I said, a numeric, an integer as well as a floating point by definition can also be a numeric. Down the line, both will be treated as a floating point. Okay. Coming to character, yeah. So in Python, you had a string type where you are storing, right, all the strings. A single character also has a string type, or a set of characters also has a string. Here we call it character type. Okay, we don't call it a string. Here that is called character type. So in a character type, as I said, a single character can also exist. A set of characters, a word can exist, or multiple words, a sentence, multiple sentence. Everything will come under character type. Okay, but yes, the definition, the defining is like you have to use quotation mark. It can be now single quotation, double quotation, double, triple quotation. That those all are valid, like all the valid points that you had in Python. The only difference is in the name that we call, that's character. It's called here. All right. So these are the basic data types that you should know. We have logical, integer, numeric, character overall. Okay, anything that comes under quotation mark forms character type. Anything that any number that comes without L, basically that is considered as numeric type. If you literally want to define a number as an integer, you have to give the suffix L, right? And then the Boolean values, instead of Boolean, we have logical, where we have keywords, we have certain keywords like true and false, that comes here. Okay. Now, under your major R data objects, which are again advanced data structures that allows you to hold the data in various dimensions. The plain one is called vector. Okay, we have a data structure called or data objects called vector, which is by property one-dimensional data. It always stores just 1D data. Okay, like one dimensional array would have seen. One-dimensional series, right? Series is also 1D data. Likewise, here dimensional data can be stored as a vector. So we have one data type called vector. Other properties, if you see of a vector, all the elements must have the same data type. Okay, I'll take examples also. So a vector is an 1D data structure, and all the elements in a vector needs to be of same type. Like similar to your array. Array does not allow multiple types. Even if you pass, of course, overcasting happens, but internally it stores as the same data type. Okay, then the next is matrix data frame, data type or data objects, which is of two-dimensional in format. It can allow you two-dimensional data storage, which is like multi-dimensional array. What you have in Python, there we don't use the frequently the term matrix, but here we have a matrix, basically a term given to that. In fact, we have a data structure calling matrix. Again, important properties of the matrix is all the elements will be at same time or type. Multiple types are not allowed. Then we have data frame. So this data frame name, you can again relate back to Python, how your data frame looks there. It's a 2D structure, multiple types can be allocated. Similarly, here also, when you declare a data as a data frame type, basically it allows 2D holding, and each of the column can be of different data type. No restriction. So column wise, there won't be, they need to be of same time, but across columns, they can be of different type. We have one more data object that is called factored in R. Okay, it is by nature one-dimensional data object, and it stores vectors along with the distinct values of the elements as level. Okay, in simple, basically it stores your vector. Okay, in simple, it converts a vector. You can convert a vector only as a factor. You cannot convert a matrix or data frame overall. But of course, you can extract one of the column and you can do that. That's possible. Because one single individual column of a data frame will be inherently a vector actually. Okay, so that is there. I'll tell you once. I'll go in more detail about factor, how, why it's meant for, how can we utilize that, etc. I'll tell you. And the last data object here we have is called list. Okay, so list is by property multi-dimensional data. Okay, and a combination of data, different data types and data objects can be an element to the list, right? So by its virtue, list is a multi-dimension. I mean, it's not restricted to 2D format. It can go ND format also. And each of the element in the list can be any R supported data objects. Can be a logical type, can be an integer type, numeric type, character type, or it can be a vector also, or it can be a matrix, data frame, factor, etc. Okay, so these are the overall types, data structures we have available in R. And apart from that, I mean, to with respect to checking their type and doing certain typecasting, we have certain inbuilt functions available, like converting data types. So we have a series of as.x. Basically, let's say if you want to convert a data to a numeric type, you have as